Hello and welcome back to Odds on Champions League Playoffs, second leg. Great games we have again this week, especially the Italian teams and of course Man City or Real Madrid. Man City in this case at the Bernabeu with Ronan Murphy. Hello Ronan. With Alain and Valnegri telling us everything about the Italian teams. So guys, stay with us. Plenty to analyze after watching all the games last week, and I'm sure we are going to have a lot of goals, a lot of interesting ties in this match day, and a lot of good bets and money to be made. So, of course, press the like, subscribe. Let's go on now with the show. And the first one, in my opinion, is one of the most interesting games. Milan Feyenoord. I think since the draw, we expected a very tight tie. And after seeing the game in the 𝐻𝐿𝐴, even more, Maignan made a big mistake at the beginning of the game. Therefore, Feyenoord had the advantage. 1-0, Milan won at the weekend. Again, 𝐿𝐿𝐴𝐻𝐵 scored. He is landing on the right foot in San Siro, but we are still really unsure about João Felix. Feyenoord fourth in the Eredivisie. I guess the big question mark is Ronan, if Feyenoord are able to keep this advantage. We saw Milan at home beating Bruges, Girona or Red Star. Is not huge opposition, we must say, but they did the job at home, except against Liverpool, of course.
Yeah, they're usually a very good team at home. Obviously, their home record at the moment speaks for itself. They're unbeaten in 12 home games. They obviously lost that game against Liverpool, like you mentioned, but they've won the 3 Champions League games they played at home since. So they were on a good run of home form, and they Feyenoord away, their last away game, they probably want to forget about it because it was that 6-1 defeat to Lille. But they have been a team that are able to score on the road. Feyenoord, they have both teams to score yes in all 4 away games they played in the Champions League so far. So that's a good one to maybe look at, because Feyenoord, they tend to be a bit more open in their away matches. They conceded 12 away goals in 4 away games in the Champions League. They won 2 of those and drew 1, obviously, but both teams to score yes looks a good option here. 181. I think that looks pretty good. 7 of Feyenoord's 9 Champions League games so far have had 4 or more total goals in them. 6 of Milan's Champions League games so far has had 3 or more total goals. So total goals over 3 could be another option here. I think this has got to be an entertaining match. That's 2.05. But I had a look at the stats, and I like looking to see when the teams score most of their goals, and both teams seem to be second half teams, and that for a second leg of a knockout game, that always makes it more entertaining for the viewer, more entertaining for the players probably too. So Milan have scored most of their Champions League goals between minutes 61 and 75, and Feyenoord have scored most of their Champions League goals between minutes 76 and 90. So both of these teams like to score in the second half. So I'm going for a total second half goals over 1.5 at 187, because I think this could be a very entertaining kind of finale or to kick us off the Champions League week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very tight, and it's very difficult, I think, to agree. For instance, 𝐿𝐴 is going for Asian handicap for Milan, therefore Milan qualifying, or Carbonaro the opposite, Feyenoord to qualify. Alain, despite the result in the first leg, Feyenoord are the underdogs, 2.4 to qualify, Milan 1.7. It was a bit disappointing for you, Milan in the 𝐻𝐻𝐿?
Yes, in the attitude, yes. You can't approach a game like Milan in the first half, because when do you lose every duel in the middle, and when do you let so many space to play like Paixão, it's impossible to win a game in the 𝐻𝐻𝐿. And I think in the Milan, the biggest problem in Milan right now is the vestiary, is the grade of motivation, the grade of implication. This team have a lot of talent. Now in Italy, they speak about the Fab Four: Pulisic, João Felix, Leao, and Jimenez. In my opinion, it's impossible for Milan to play with that fourth player, because he's so offensive. And we understood that in Rotterdam. and who he will be stay in the bench. I think the most probably is Joao Felix. Joao Felix go in every club he go, he finish in the bench. But it's an attitude problem. It's not a technical problem because the guy have a lot of talent, but he doesn't want to work for the team. And with that this level, when you don't have a team with a strong block, is impossible to have ambition to win a Serie A or to be really competitive in Champions. Now, Milan are lucky to catch Feyenoord. Feyenoord is in a crisis. Feyenoord changed manager 10 days ago, and since the beginning of the season, except the game against Bayern at home, Feyenoord lose every big match this season, and Milan must to catch out his best version. The Champions League version is the biggest team in the history in Champions, Italian team with 7 champions. Milan has an history. The player must respect the team and the institution, and I think that one will be the message, and player will be feel that about from the fans from the beginning. Before the game, I think the player will be focused for this game. For that reason, I choose Milan winning. Milan winning over 1.75 goals, odds 1.70.
Trusting history, then in your case, for Milan, many times the club or the badge is even bigger than the players, especially if we are talking about the likes of Joao Felix. But this is a great game. All 3 Italian teams are actually in trouble. Next one, Atalanta Brugge. Probably the result is similar, Alain, 2-1. Remember, there is no away rule, but Atalanta deserved much more. Probably they are still angry at the referee. Last minute penalty, very little contact on the face, in my opinion, to whistle the penalty spot. And on top of that, Atalanta had so many chances. If we look the XG, if we look at the chances created, Alain, they should have scored plenty of more goals in the Club Brugge Stadium, but also we saw them not scoring at the weekend against Cagliari, and Atalanta have a really poor record at home in the Champions League. In the last 12 Champions League games at home, it's only 2 wins.
Yep. Yes, we have some doubts about this Atalanta, especially in Bruges. I saw Bruges more comfortable in the game, like Atalanta, especially in the first half. Atalanta suffered a lot. Atalanta made his first shoot on the target after 40 minutes. And what is the problem right now? Because since the middle of January, Atalanta won against Sturm Graz at home only. And they go out in Coppa Italia against Bologna, draw against Cagliari, draw against Torino. And every game have one relationship. The injury of in the attack line, Atalanta miss already. His, in my opinion, best striker is Lookman, because Lookman have some quality and some movement who in the squad nobody have that one, because he has agility. Lookman can play in every position of the front of attack, and Lookman give that 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜 craziness to the way to attack, and we saw that in the final in Europa League. Lookman resolve a lot of problem in offensive way for Atalanta, except the game against Verona. In the last 5 games, we saw some not problem, but not the classical Atalanta we known. And I think this relationship with Lookman is something heavy for Gasperini. Now, Bruges is defensive team. Bruges is physical, but Bruges is far to Atalanta. If we compare the player, how many players of Bruges should be in the first lineup, in the titular lineup in Atalanta, I don't saw any player. Maybe 𝗀𝗵, because 𝗀𝗵 have that Lookman way. No, he's a one-to-one striker. Maybe 𝗀𝗵, yes, but except 𝗀𝗵, include Van Aken, I think Pasalic have something more. And for that reason, I think Atalanta is one of the game of the season for 𝗲𝗲, and normally that type of game Atalanta win. And Atalanta winning over 1.75 goals, odds 1.72.
Mignolet is still playing. He's been around, I think, for ages. Or 𝗀𝗲𝗏, for instance, as a striker, but he scored a good goal, actually. Ronan, do you also see Atalanta winning? Most of the people here also agree. Messi, Carbonaro, Alain Valnegri, for instance, all going for Atalanta to win.
I think it'll be closer than maybe people are expecting, because we've seen from Bruges so far in the Champions League that are capable of causing upsets. They're capable of frustrating people. They were nearly very frustrated Manchester City there for a while. So this is a team that should not be underestimated. I know, like Alain said, that on paper the two 11s look vastly different. Atalanta, you would look at their team and then you would think there's no way Bruges can do anything against them, but the way they play, the way they set up, the way they set out to frustrate people, they're fantastic off the ball. They're fantastic at pressing the ball. They will be confident going into this match with a 1-goal lead. A draw here is good enough for them. So I think Bruges will definitely continue to frustrate Atalanta, and they did in the first leg, and there's no reason to see why they can't in the second leg even more so again. So Atalanta, their home form, like you said, hasn't been very good in Champions League. They only have 2 wins, and one of those was that 5-0 over 𝗀𝗏 Graz. But this season, 2 0-0 draws against Arsenal and Celtic, and then a loss to Real Madrid. Whereas Bruges' away form, they were able to pick up a draw against Celtic. They were able to beat 𝗀𝗏 Graz as well. They kind of frustrated Man City. They frustrated AC Milan at times. So I think Bruges can be a good team away in the Champions League this season. They've scored in all their away games in the Champions League. Atalanta have not scored in all their home games. Like I mentioned, they had 2 0-0. So I think this will be a close game, a low-scoring game. Bruges aren't a team that tend to get beaten by a lot, and since October they've only lost 1 game by 2 or more goals, and that was against Man City, and they are a team that keep things tight. Bruges are unbeaten in 4 games as well, and Atalanta, like Alain said, without Lookman, they look a different team, and they have a number of kind of injury worries. 𝗀𝐿𝐴 and 𝗀𝗏 are obviously long-term injuries, but there's doubts over 𝐿𝐴𝐴, Maldini, and Lookman obviously for Tuesday. So if they're missing some crucial players, it could be a very difficult game for them, especially having to come from behind. So I think Bruges have a chance here. So I'm going for Club Brugge Asian handicap +1 at 2.
Well, going for the surprise. Then both teams to score here for our friend 𝗲𝗏𝗍. Also, Atalanta, they are favorites to go through. Atalanta to qualify, let me double check, should be around 1.77 indeed, and Bruges to qualify 2.12. Well, there are no questions about the next game or who is gonna qualify. I'm talking about Bayern Munich Celtic. Surprisingly, we saw a goalless draw, Ronan, in the Leverkusen Bayern. So Harry Kane finally has the first title in his pocket. And, well, beating Celtic away with that penalty not given, a correct decision, by the way. And 𝐜𝐨𝐧𝐧𝐞𝐜𝐭𝐞𝐝 scoring a beautiful goal at the end. Bayern Munich considered a stupid or unlucky goal, scored by Maeda. But, well, Celtic, last time they visited Germany, they conceded 7 to Dortmund this season. Not sure if it's not going to be similar to that game, Ronan, and Celtic can get absolutely destroyed in Munich.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily sure to get destroyed, but I think Bayern will have a point to prove after that 0-0. A 0-0 where they created nothing for a large majority of the match. It was only near the end that they finally got a shot on target. Leverkusen were set up brilliantly against them, and Bayer Leverkusen should have scored a couple of times themselves, but Bayern Munich never looked like scoring, so they will definitely need to bounce back from that one, and hopefully they can do it for their sakes against Celtic. They're unbeaten in the 5 times they've met, the last 5 times they've met Celtic, the 4 wins for Bayern, 1 draw. Celtic on the road in the Champions League, the signs do not look good for them. They've lost, or they haven't won any of their last 12 away games in the Champions League. Bayern are on a good run of form, 7 home wins in a row, 6 games unbeaten in a home and away, and in them 7 home wins in a row, they've scored 3 or more goals in each of them. So at home, they tend to score a lot of goals. They just didn't score at Leverkusen at the weekend, but that's a different story altogether. Daniel, our producer, did not get this one from me, but I had a look earlier and I saw Bayern are averaging lots of corners, and I know some of our viewers love the corner market. So they've had over 9.5 corners, 47% of their games in all competitions, and 78% of the time that's happened in the Champions League. So total corners over 9.5 is 152. Total corners over 10.5 could be another option here, but Daniel doesn't have that on the screen. Something he should have is Harry Kane. I'm backing Harry Kane to bounce back here. He's averaging 2.11 shots on target per 90 in the Bundesliga, still as high as 2 shots per 90 on target in the Champions League. He's had 32 shots in the Champions League, 7 goals. So Harry Kane over 1.5 shots on target is 150. Harry Kane anytime goal score, 158. But I'm going to be very specific about the type of goal he's going to score as my main bet. He scored 12 penalties already this season, 3 of those in the Champions League. Bayern Munich to score a penalty, 350.
He's not scoring a lot recently. Of course, he keeps scoring. He scored in Celtic Park, but not a lot. Alain, did you like Bayern display in Celtic Park?
Yes, they won, but I am not enthusiastic about this version of Bayern. I think it's the biggest game since the beginning of the season. They suffer. They suffer in a lot of field. They suffer against Dortmund, in Dortmund. They suffer in Rotterdam against Feyenoord. Against Bayer Leverkusen, Bayer Leverkusen deserve to win the game. No, I am not so fan about this version of Bayern, but Celtic is far about this level. Celtic this season, we must to say they improve a little away, because the record away was terrific about Celtic. In the 7 last year, I think that they won only 1 game in Europe, and that one, I think they deserve something. Maybe not in Dortmund, but we saw a best version away, especially in Zagreb. They catch a draw in Bergamo against Atalanta. Now against this Bayern, is a friendly game, in my opinion. I think Bayern will be push a lot for this game. I think Celtic will do a good game, and I choose Celtic with handicap 2.5, odds 1.84.
Okay, so they don't get really smashed at the Allianz Arena. Both teams to score for 𝐬𝐵CE, both teams to score also for Timothy, and over 2.5 goals. So goals and both teams to score looks like a good option. The odds are really, really low if you are backing Bayern Munich. Next game is Benfica Monaco. Interesting one as well. Probably the tie is still alive despite the win in the Louis II for Benfica. They were playing against 10 men, so probably they even could have scored more goals. Pavlidis' goal at the end is the one that matter. Monaco, Alain, after some series of bad results, they smashed Nantes 7-1. In Ligue 1, away in the Champions League, they only beat Bologna 1-0. Any reasons to be optimistic by a crazy comeback from Monaco in the loose? Because Benfica is a crazy team, eh? Also,
yes,
we've seen
totally unpredictable. Benfica, because they won 4-0 against Atletico Madrid, against Oporto, but they lose 4-5-4 against Barcelona, who is a referee help. We must to say that, because it's important. And now you check the player will be not play this game, and Monaco, I think, will be more affected than Besiktas. Besiktas has more player out, but Monaco have two players out, really important for the balance of the team. And 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐴 and 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐴 give the balance. No, in the midfield is a very good. Very good combo between both players, and that can be affect the balance, especially without the ball. And we know in Benfica with the ball they have a lot of solution. Di Maria is not here, but Benfica have solution from Pavlidis, Zeki Amdouni, Actor Toglu, Kerem, ex-player of Galatasaray, adapt himself really well. Skeldrup made a very good season. He has a lot of solution, 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐴. And in my opinion, Benfica will be lose with 2-goal difference against this Monaco. Monaco in the last week, it's difficult to understand where is the brilliant and balanced Monaco from the beginning of the season. Now it's totally crazy, the team. We saw a very good version in some games, like against Nantes, against Auxerre at home, but away in Milano against Inter, in Paris against PSG, we saw a really bad version about this Monaco. And with this version in Dalus, Monaco will be super. And in my opinion, Benfica have something more. We saw that, and we understand that in the game last week. For that reason, I choose Benfica winning, odds 1.86.
Benfica really favorite. Benfica to qualify for 𝐴𝐵𝐴. That shouldn't pay that much. Benfica to win, as Alain is saying. Ronan, what is your take here in Dalus?
I was looking at the value, and I'm struggling to see past the value in Monaco. I know Alain has explained why we shouldn't trust Monaco, and looking at the table, these teams are very close. 16th versus 17th in the league phase. This is Monaco, the best unseeded team. Benfica, the worst seeded team. They're only separated by goal difference, and Monaco didn't even have a negative goal difference. They both got 13 points. So these teams have been very even in the Champions League so far. So there's no reason to think that Monaco can't cause an upset or somewhat an upset here, especially after the 7-1 win against Nantes on Saturday. 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐴 scored twice for Sturm Graz in the league phase in the Champions League. That's maybe one of the reasons why Monaco signed him, and he has 7 goals in 7 games since joining Monaco. So 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐴 over a half shot on target could be a good option. 174 anytime goal score, if you want to double down on him, is 380. So Monaco obviously need goals. They need to do something in this match. They showed at the weekend that they are capable sometimes of scoring goals. Benfica have some injury concerns of their own. Alain mentioned the big losses in midfield, especially for Monaco. But Ángel Di Maria, Renato Sanchez, Thomas Araujo, and 𝐴𝐵𝐴 are all kind of doubts for this match. And there's injuries and doubts around Benfica too. So for me, it's hard to look past just a chance that maybe Monaco could sneak a 1-goal win, and maybe it doesn't go through an extra time or penalties. It doesn't really matter for the sake of the bet. But Monaco to qualify at 650 looks very appetizing for me. So if you are going to bet on it, bet small. But yeah, 650. It looks hard to look. It's hard to look past that one.
Well, a bit bold one here, but let's see if Monaco are able for a crazy comeback. For sure, this is not going to happen. Well, for sure, you never know, no? But in Dortmund, next game is Borussia Dortmund Sporting. Borussia Dortmund, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, when they are playing in Europe or when they are playing in Germany, we couldn't believe, Ronan, they could lose in Bochum, and they did it, as they did also in Kiel, especially after the show in the UCL Playoffs, winning 3-0 in Portugal. The tie should be over. But oh my God, this Dortmund is just impossible to trust. The Sporting is not in the best moment as well. It's only 1 win in the last 5 games.
Yeah, this Dortmund team we were talking about in the Bundesliga show last week, and I was talking about how Borussia Dortmund were playing the worst team in the Bundesliga, but I didn't realize the worst team in the Bundesliga was actually Borussia Dortmund. It was the team in the yellow jersey, because they were playing. They played absolutely abysmally again. I know they have signs other 𝐿𝐴𝐴 doing something, but they are like you said, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, because they're just 2 totally different teams. In the Champions League, they seem to maybe do a bit, but in the Bundesliga had been doing nothing, and that was similar to last season. They got all the way to the Champions League final, and then that was the only reason they qualified for the Champions League, because they weren't actually good enough in the Bundesliga. So, yeah, this Borussia Dortmund team seems to be consistent in its inconsistency, and you wouldn't rule out Sporting getting some goals here and getting a chance, because it's they show that Bochum can get goals against Borussia Dortmund. So why can't Sporting against Borussia Dortmund? And in Dortmund's recent games, there's been plenty of goals. 5 Champions League games in a row for Borussia Dortmund with 3 or more total goals in the matches. 5 of Sporting's last 6 Champions League games have had 3 or more total goals. So this one is a match where there should be plenty of goals, because Borussia Dortmund tend to ship goals. That clean sheet against Sporting was an anomaly in the first leg. Both teams to score, yes, looks pretty good at 170. The average goals these teams are scoring this season is 2.8 for Dortmund, 1.4 for Sporting, and the average conceded is 1.3 versus 1.7, which works out at exactly 3 if you add it together. So total goals over 2.75 could be another good option here at 194. And I'm not backing Dortmund to qualify, because anything could happen in this one.
Well, even if, they got a 3-0 advantage, Sporting over 1.5 goals for Emmanuel. Well, it's also tough to win in this stadium, Alain. We have to take this in consideration when you are playing in the Champions League, despite the bad level shown this season in the Bundesliga, no matter with which coach we are talking about for Dortmund.
Yes, it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. My first reflex was check the odds about Sporting Classify, and it's 26. And we can try €1, because with Dortmund everything is possible, but with Sporting too everything is possible. Now, when we check the statistic, in the last time Dortmund no score at home was the last year in April against Stuttgart, and since that game, when they played at home, they score every time. And Sporting away from the beginning of the season only against 𝐬𝐭𝐴𝐽 against Gil Vicente, the Sporting is not scoring. Sporting is a counter-attack team. Dortmund open a little his defense. I don't know if we can consider that game like a friendly game, like Bayern Celtic, because with a 3-0, the only game I remember with a remontada like that was Real Madrid Juventus.
Yeah, I remember.
At the end of the game with the famous penalty of Benatia, the contact Benatia and Lucas Vázquez. But except that, I don't think Sporting can be do that. But Sporting can be scored. Dortmund can and will be scored, in my opinion. For that reason, I choose both teams to score odds 1.70.
Well, maybe it's not bad to put some money on Sporting or on Asian handicap for Sporting. For sure, there is no option in the next one, PSG Brest. This is completely game over. We spoke at the beginning of our previous show that it was 95% chance for PSG to qualify. They won 3-0, even if they conceded some chances, but historically they always beat Brest. They have Dembélé in a great scoring streak. They won again in Toulouse at the weekend. Alain is 15 wins and 1 draw in the last 16 games for PSG. So this is the last game of Brest in this Champions League, but credit to them also. They played a great competition in the first time ever for them in the Champions League.
It was one of the biggest surprise about this Champions League. We saw some teams go out with more budget, with more history, with a better squad, like Brest. Right now, the objective is to be back in Europe, not in Champions League especially, but in Europe. In Europe, and it was a big success if Brest can go back to Europa League or Conference League. Now, Paris Saint-Germain in my opinion, is the best moment about the Qatari era in Paris. The best moment in the collective perspective, the collective analysis. we don't saw a Panini album team right now. It's a collective team with a clear idea of the model of play. I think the Luis Enrique entered really well in the brain of the player. He chose his player to adopt his style, and right now I enjoy a lot when I saw Paris Saint-Germain playing. And it's curious because in a team like with that potential, is a winger, the goal scorer. And I think we must to mention the job of Luis Enrique with Dembele, because he's the manager who catch out the potential of Dembele. Maybe I remember Dembele in Dortmund. Maybe as he play with that level, and in Brest we saw that we predict a goal and he score clearly a goal. Now in the last 7 games in Ligue 1, Brest was able to score in 6 games. Only in Champions in the last game they don't score against Paris Saint Germain, but they're great occasion. They have very good occasion, and in my opinion, there will be score in Parc des Princes. Paris Saint Germain will be score. Both teams to score for this game between Paris Saint Germain and Brest over odds 1.92. Sorry.
Okay, also Mohamed or Emmanuel feel that Brest is going to be in the score sheet. They should have been actually in the first leg in Guingamp, Ronan.
Yeah, they should. This Brest team, they have shown that they are capable of scoring, like Alain said. And you remember a few weeks before the first leg, it was a 5-2. So it was they do have entertaining, high-scoring matches with PSG, and they're capable of scoring against PSG. And yeah, this PSG team, I think they will treat this as a bit of an exhibition, like we've been saying, a bit of a friendly match. Enrique rested key players for the game against Toulouse at the weekend. They won 1-0, but a win is a win in the league, and that's all you need. Dembele, Donnarumma, Marquinhos, and Vitinha were all rested, and they kind of, when they're at full strength, this PSG team are excellent, and Dembele has been playing excellently. When he starts, he's 15 goals in this year already, including 6 in 3 Champions League games. So I think he could repeat the trick that we saw in the first leg, and we both correctly predicted in the first leg. Ousmane Dembele, anytime goal scorer, I'm going to go for again in this one, because he's just in the form of his life. And like Alain said, something's been unlocked or re-unlocked in him by Luis Enrique that we perhaps didn't see at times at Barcelona, maybe because he was injured so often at Barcelona. I think he played fewer minutes than he was out for, that he was injured for at Barcelona. So yeah, it's great to see that he is fit and firing again. So Dembele anytime goal scorer, but I like the look of the goal market too. A slightly different bet in the goal market. PSG, they've scored 8 goals in the last 2 games at Brest. They've had 3 or more goals in 4 of their last 6 games, and the only 2 that they didn't have 3 or more goals in were that game against Toulouse, where they rested players at the weekend, and the previous game where they rested players, including Dembele. It was against the Cup against Milan. So yeah, PSG tend to score 3 goals or more in every game. So PSG over 3 goals, I really like to look up here, 210.
Well, there is nothing on stake. This is a real friendly game in France. PSG 2, Brest 0 for Omo Next one, very, very interesting one is this one, PSV Juventus, and we can see how the bookies place PSV as favorites, despite also the weight of the history in Juventus and after the boost of winning the Derby d'Italia 1-0 with that goal scored by 𝐿𝐴 with the impact of Kolo Muani, with the saves of Di Gregorio. So perhaps it's the best moment for Mota in the season. 4 consecutive wins in all competition, including, of course, this 2-1 that they got in Torino. PSV is kind of the opposite, only 1 win in the last 5 games. I'm sure, Ronan, that a lot of Interistas were very happy with the goal scored by Perisic in the Juventus Stadium.
Yeah, I'd say many of Perisic's former club fans were keeping an eye on him, because wherever he's played, he's kind of a hugely popular figure. obviously a great personality and a great player on the pitch. So yeah, I'd say that one went down well, and I think they will be hoping that he can get another, or there can be more goals for PSV in this one, especially after that result in Serie A at the weekend. But PSV are on, like you said, are on a poor enough run at the moment. No wins in their last 3 games. They've had 2 score draws in the league in their last 2 games, and both those matches were at home. So they haven't been kind of putting on a show in front of their home fans at the moment. And Juventus, I think we said before the last match that they hadn't got 3 wins in a row yet this season, and now they're up to 4. So yeah, this Juventus team is in the best form so far at the moment. The wrong time to be playing Juventus, I think, and they do hold that kind of 2-1 advantage from the first leg. So this one, I think, will be a very tense affair. So I think both teams could score in this one. Both teams score, yes. Looks pretty good at 161 because, like I said, PSV, they haven't won those games, but they were scoring in those games. They haven't won, so they are still capable of getting goals. And Juventus, they've only lost 4 games this season in all competitions. They've had 16 draws, 13 draws in the league. So they've had 16 draws. So that's why I like the fact that a draw or a win for Juventus would be great here. A draw, they won't mind too much. They've got plenty of them already. So Juventus double chance 170 looks pretty good.
Well, Juventus fans, I have the impression, Alain, that they are going to suffer a lot in Eindhoven. PSV or draw for Mohamed? How do you see it?
But PSV is not in a very good moment. They lose the leadership in the last 3 games in Eredivisie, 3 draw, and Ajax catch the leadership. Ajax have one game less with 2-point advantage, and when we saw the beginning of the season was PSV was the leader with a really positive row. It was the strongest team. What happened in the last 2 months in Eindhoven? We can ask that. Is one of the worst moments in the last 2 seasons in Eindhoven. And the Juve now, 𝐿𝐴 changed a lot of things in the attack of Juventus because he made the movement to active the offensive midfielder, and we saw in the content maybe Juventus now are finding to have more control of the game, because since the beginning of the season is classical Juventus suffer 45 minutes in the game. And yesterday against Inter, with who watched the game, in the first half, Inter deserved something more and dominate Juventus. And the second half was pretty good, probably the best 45 minutes since the beginning of the season with Motta in the bench for Juve. And the history with the relationship between Juventus and Champions League is bad for the bianconeri team. Is not like in Italy, but there must to change. Juventus need to go to the 18 of final for every analysis, for the sportive analysis, for the economical analysis, for the project of Thiago Motta, and I think Juventus is able to catch a double results, and I choose like Ronan, double opportunity, 𝐿𝐴 odds 1.70.
Okay, Joseph Bangura, I live in Holland. My team is PSV, and we are not doing well the last few weeks. Juventus will win this game. I don't trust my team. So very pessimistic, actually, about PSV. Mustafa is going for draw, and well, also the draw will qualify 𝐿𝐴𝐵CIA for the last 16 round. And last game, Real Madrid, Man City. What a game we watched at the Etihad, as we expected. Plenty of goals, plenty of drama. One team coming back, a lot of mistakes, defensive mistakes, great players on the pitch. And now Real Madrid is favorite again to go to the last 16 round after those 2 goals scored in the last minutes, despite the poor form in La Liga, 3 consecutive games without a win. But we are seeing a good Mbappé, despite the Frenchman, Alain. He's missing so many chances. Again, in Pamplona, he missed so many chances in the Etihad, but he's also participating a lot. The same for Vinicius. And on the Real Madrid side, we should have back Rudiger, maybe Lucas Vázquez on the bench for Man City. I guess we might see De Bruyne dropping from the team. He was very poor, and Guardiola was heavily criticized together with the team after the defeat in Manchester. Alain, any chance for a comeback? Real Madrid, as you remember before, they are specialists in coming back at their stadium, but also at suffering when they have a good advantage. I also remember against Chelsea.
Yes. It's a limit of Real Madrid when they're so beautiful in the mirror. Normally, Real Madrid suffer, and against this City, it's difficult to analyze the game of City because last Saturday against Newcastle still have the style can disturb a lot City, but City in with a direct attack, because it's direct attack, the goal of Marmoush makes super Newcastle, and Omar Marmoush give that new skills to City, no? The long ball. Long ball. We don't wanna be elaborate the attack. No, long ball. Long ball. Marmoush is really intelligent. Really intelligent. Who know the Bundesliga, so Marmoush, so the evolution of Marmoush is a wonderful signing, in my opinion, for City. Now, Marmoush is able to make the difference in Bernabeu? Is a good question. What will be the attitude of Real Madrid? Because Real Madrid in City, the first 25 minutes in the first half, I saw City best in the game. They deserved to score the first game. After City have problem in the management of the score, and that one is the biggest limit since the beginning of the season. And maybe the crisis of Guardiola team is there, the management of the score. In how many games City was up in the score, and the rival drew or won the game. I think that the best example is the game against Feyenoord in the Etihad, when there was winning 3-0 and there drew 3-3 against this Feyenoord. Wow. And this City in Bernabeu, no chance. But is the City about the last season? Maybe the miracle we know in the football right now is the probability is really poor, but the things we can be sure, and we will be see are City really offensive because they need to win, and there will be open a lot is defense, a lot of space for Real Madrid. Real Madrid feel comfortable when City is really offensive. They score. For that reason, I choose the market goal over 3.75 goals, odds 1.95.
It's kind of obvious going again for the goals for both teams to score. For instance, as many of our people are telling us, Mustafa sees some drama, at least for me, if this is City leading at halftime, draw at full time. Actually, this is also very likely, and I'm sure the odds are great for this. Ronan, do you give chance to Man City?
Yeah, I think you should always give a chance to Manchester City. I think they are capable of scoring goals and plenty of goals against any team, but Real Madrid, you could say the exact same thing. So Real Madrid, obviously, as we know, they have that Faustian bargain that they will win the Champions League every season. So it's hard to look past that at many stages. So I think, yeah, this is another match, like you were mentioning earlier. It could go anyway with like the Dortmund Sporting match. You wouldn't be surprised if any result happened, but we expect goals to happen in this game, and that's where you have to look. And I like Alain's tip of over 3.75 goals. I wrote that one down myself. I think that's a pretty good one. Man City have had 3 or more total match goals in their last 11 games, so they tend to be playing in matches at the moment with lots of goals in them. And Real Madrid, similarly, they've had both teams to score yes in their last 4 games. So both teams to score yes could be an option here, but there's not a lot of value in it. It's 136. Obviously, total goals over 3.75 looks better, 199 or 195, like Alain had. But I had a look at these teams. These teams are both quite second half teams as well. Real Madrid has scored in both halves 44% of the time compared to Manchester City's 47% of the time. But then I looked even deeper at what percentage of goals the teams are scoring in the second half. So 63% of Man City's goals have come in second half matches this season, and 59% of Real Madrid. So these are teams who tend to score goals in the second half, and they both scored a lot of goals this season. So both teams to score in the second half, I think, looks good value at 224, because this match could be on a knife edge. Both teams will be trying their best to go through. So both teams to score yes in the second half.
Well, both teams to score also for William Hill. Real Madrid will counter attack. Let's see if they try to score first or to defend. If they try to defend, that would be a really bad idea for them. I'm sure we are going to see again plenty of goals. Well, let me know, of course, in the comment section and participate in our tipster competitions, and you will have the chance to win some cash money. As you can see, we even have a tipster competition for the Premier League, for instance, or you can create, thanks to Rivals, your own tipster competition. There you go. Or create the Champions League one, or just challenge your friends. Well, let's go with your best bet, Ronan.
My best bet is the safest bet of all, PSG to win.
Alain?
Real Madrid City over 2.75 goals.
ACCA, Alain?
Milan classify, Atalanta classify, PSV, Juve over 1.75 goals, total 3.65.
Trust in the Italian teams. Ronan, yours?
Yeah, I'm don't trust in any German team this week, so I'm going Harry Kane over 1.5 shots on target, 150. 𝐿𝐵𝐵𝐴 over a half shot target, PSG to win, and that's for a total of 321.
Well, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Ronan, thanks Alain. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Ciao.